Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach, and for the last 7 days, I've been driving the 2024 Nissan Z Nismo. Up front is a 3.0 liter twin turbo V6, and down below is a 9-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be making this video because I've driven the Nissan Z Performance with the manual transmission. So now we're doing the updated, upgraded Nismo with the automatic, but with a slight power boost. The second reason is that I love sports cars. They're my favorite category of cars, and so when you get the opportunity to have a Nissan Z Nismo for a week, you capitalize it, and I'm excited to share my thoughts with you. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to what makes the Nismo special. Well, if you're unaware, Nismo stands for Nissan Motorsports. It was formed in the late 1980s and has been a staple of every sports car that Nissan has put out. We've especially seen this, of course, in the 350Z Nismo from the early 2000s, but my favorite has been the Nissan R32 GTR, which of course had Nismo touches to it as well, and I'll be completely honest, I think that's my favorite car in the whole wide world. So for this, they have updated the suspension. You get stickier tires, which we'll talk about in a second, different wheels, different exterior accents, and a power bump of 20 horsepower, making it 420 horsepower out of that twin turbo V6. Let's talk about that twin turbo V6. Well, it is the standard engine across all of the Z products, from the base model to the Performance to the Nismo. But like I said, for the Nismo, it does get a slight power bump, although not crazy. 20 horsepower when you're talking 400 to 420 isn't that big of a jump, but it's a nice edge. I love this powertrain. I think it sounds good in its stock format. Here is a cold start. It makes solid power, and what it really delivers is solid torque. Comparing this to a GR86, which might not be financially comparable, but size and feeling comparable, I much prefer the V6. It has that low-end power to be fun at very slow speeds. And yet it's not a big clunky V8, it's still docile, and I love it. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 9-speed automatic, and although you can get other Zs like the Performance in a stick shift, the Nismo trim level only comes with the automatic. Now, it is a very quick automatic. It shifts like lightning, and I enjoy it quite a bit, but we have more final thoughts to talk about towards the end. But overall, it's a good transmission. Last but not least, of course, the Nismo is rear-wheel drive, and it does get that limited slip diff along with the Performance model, but the base model does not. How does it feel to drive the Nissan Z Nismo? It's awesome. It is so fun to drive. The sound, the steering dynamics are wonderful, and you also do have a stiffer ride than what you would find in the regular Z Performance. So if you have terrible roads like I do in Chicago, you might want to purchase a back brace, but out on a racetrack in performance settings, that's what you want. And this car is so lightning responsive in the way that the chassis is set up. It has added rigidity for the Nismo. It is fantastic. Visibility is not great. It's okay, not the best in the world. Rear visibility definitely isn't good, and like I touched on, that ride quality is not good, but it is a performance car. Now, unfortunately, I can't give you any crazy driving footage or exhaust notes. The week that I had this car is actually the final week that this vehicle will be in the press fleet because it started snowing here in Chicago, and this is equipped with summer slick tires, and so traction isn't really a possibility. I didn't have much traction pretty much all week, and out of this not being my car, I did not drive it 10/10. I drove it pretty hard the first day because it was sunny and 70, but then it snowed the rest of the week and I couldn't get any footage of it. So unfortunately, the performance of this car will be credited to Trust Me Bro, and for that I apologize, but again, safety is top priority. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me I have a completely digital gauge cluster. I do like that they add the Nismo Nismo badging to the digital gauge cluster that was not found on the performance model, and you can have some information to swipe through. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our volume, skip track, OK, and selectors, and off to the right, we have our adaptive cruise control. Very nice to see that in a sports car. Off to the left, we have a tiny vent and our traction control off button. And moving out of the door, we have another vent, our latch to get in and out, shared with the 370Z. Power mirror switches, power locks, and power windows. Moving into the center, we get 3 more gauges. Now, since the late 1970s, Nissan Z cars have had 3 gauges in the center. So they continue that tradition here with the new Z for boost pressure, turbo speed, and battery voltage off to the right. Then we have 2 climate control vents and the hazard switch and our infotainment system. It's just a touch slow, but it does have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto along with Bluetooth, and the performance and Nismo trim levels actually do get Amazon Alexa. So nice to see that. Here's the backup camera in case you're curious. Not the greatest quality, especially for a above $60,000 vehicle, and no 360 camera. Down below that, we do have physical buttons for the information center and our climate controls. No dual zone, just fan speed off to the left, temperature in the center, where to send it off to the right. USB-C as well as USB-A down to the bottom right, and then we have 2 ionized red buttons. So off to the left is our start-stop button, and off to the right is our D mode for Sport, Standard, and Sport Plus. The shifter itself is small and feels like it's out of a Nissan Rogue or other products like that. It's rather unimpressive. However, once you put it in gear, you don't touch it again. You have paddle shifters if you want a plus minus, and like I mentioned, it is the only transmission available in the Z Nismo. Then we do have our trunk release and 2 dead switches. This would be for heated seats, but we have the slim Recaro buckets that we'll talk about, and 2 cup holders. So we'll do a big friggin' bottle test, but like the Z Performance we just tested, it also fails the big friggin' bottle test. We do get a little center console with the 12-volt outlet in there, and then the seats. The seats are Nismo specific. They are genuine Recaros. They are manual seats, unlike the Performance that got heavier power seats. And honestly, for a big guy, I actually fit in here really well, and I really enjoy the feeling of it. So, all green lights there, which I wasn't fully expecting to say about these little seats. Now, we don't have any back seats here in the Nismo. The Zs don't get any back seats, but we do have a trunk, so let's go talk about that. All right, around the back of the Nissan Z Nismo, and we don't actually have a button here on the key fob. I was hoping that we would, but we do have a button down here and pop up the tailgate like that. Not a whole ton of space, and actually this sort of chassis bar going across the back is very, very limiting. I have a slight story to tell. I went out to Home Depot to buy my first Christmas tree for our new house, and I thought, yeah, the Christmas tree box probably will fit in the back because we could put it up against the seats. It was actually way too tall and large for the back. Now, I understand that you are probably not buying a giant Christmas tree in your Nissan Z. It's just not very practical. But again, you don't buy this car to be your practical daily driver. You buy this for fun, and you buy it for these sweet tires. So that is not a huge concern, but it was a genuine real-world test, and so we drove home with the hatch right about here and our hazards on to get our Christmas tree back to my house to enjoy the holidays. So very, very interesting back here, but that's what you get in the back of the Nissan Z Nismo. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I love everything but one thing, and we'll do a walk around of it. I adore the exterior of the Nissan Z. This looks awesome, and with the added Z Nismo accents, I love the red accents, I love the wheels, I love just the way that this looks. It is a cutting-edge sports car in the looks department, and I adore it. Seeing this car backed into my driveway every day just gave me the fizz, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. The one thing about the exterior that really bothers me is the rear Nismo badge. It looks like it was purchased secondhand online and stuck on by a 16-year-old. This is the factory badge from Nismo, and that's the factory location. This is a press car directly from Nissan, so I didn't change anything, and that's how the badge came out, so I would probably personally remove that on my own Nismo. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving the Nissan Z Nismo? Well, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually love this car. This car is absolutely fantastic. Yes, modern sports cars are still good, and this car is exhibit A, B, and C. It is truly, truly tremendous. I like the interior, although it isn't as blue as the Nissan Z Performance that I drove. Here's that blue interior. This is an option if you want it on the standard Nissan Zs. I like the seats. I like how it revs. I like how it drives. I love how it looks. This car is a slam dunk, except for the transmission. This vehicle is not available with a manual transmission at the Nismo trim level. Now, the Z Performance that I tested, and I'll show clips here, did have a manual transmission, and I loved that manual transmission. It was so good. It made me love that Nissan Z more than the manual Toyota Supra, and that's saying quite a bit. The fact that it's absent here in the Nissan Z Nismo, everyone will get up in a tizzy and say, oh, it needs a third pedal to be a real car. I don't follow that logic. Real fun sports cars can be automatic, but I will agree that the automatic-only Nismo is kind of missing the point. Nissan has the GTR, at least as of right now. They still have the GTR, and I think they probably will do a next generation. That is a fast car. That is a car where caution is thrown to the wind. All you want to do in that car is get around a track as fast as possible. And that's why that car is automatic, because the human hand, brain, and eyes cannot shift as fast as that automatic. The Nissan Z, which is slotted below the GTR, isn't that. This is a fun sports car. This is meant for the journey and not the destination. The GTR is just for that destinational lap time. This is about the journey. This is about enjoying the full lap. And no, you're not supposed to set top speeds in a Nissan Z. That's never what the fair ladies have ever been about. And so when you remove that manual transmission, sure, this car is fast, but we already have the fast car. We want the fun car. Now, thankfully, like I said, you can still get a stick shift in the Z Performance. And honestly, for my money, that's the car that I would get, is the lower trim Z Performance. But this car to me is kind of like AI art. Yes, you can make these wonderful, beautiful creations. What you're seeing now, I plugged into an AI generator and I generated these images with a sentence. That's stunning. It's wonderful. But there wasn't the hours of laboring over the image and getting it just right. There wasn't that moment where I was in the shower and thought, oh, I should add this, I should add that. There was no epiphanies. I didn't have to work for it. That's what I feel like with this car. Yes, I can drive it fast. Yes, I could set down good lap times and I can have a lot of fun, but I didn't have to work for it. I didn't have to earn it. And so at the end of the day, there's a lot less satisfaction that comes from driving this car, as you might see or find in the Z Performance. The Z Performance with the manual transmission, it's a dance between two partners. I have to do my job of smooth clutch releases and good throttle, and the car has to do its job, staying in gear, and those synchros helping me out. It's a two-man team. And at the end of the drive, I get to do like any buddy cop movie and have that slow motion high five at our destination. Driving this car at the end of the day is kind of like having HAL 9000 on board. There's no hand to shake. There's no high five to be had. I just go, thanks, that was fun. And then I just kind of get on with my day. There's not a whole lot of satisfaction outside of the car as you would find in a manual transmission. Is this a good car? Yes. Is it a fun car? Yes. Will I always love the Z Nismo? Of course. But if I want that true driving feel that's amazing, I would buy the Nissan Z Performance. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Nissan, particularly Steve, for loaning me this vehicle for the last 7 days. Huge thank you to G Schmidt for facilitating the cleaning and delivery of this vehicle. And of course, the Midwestern Automotive Media Association. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.